now, Broad Street Sports, the best Philly sports podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome on in here. I was at the Eagles game last night, so I'm sorry I didn't make the podcast last night. I was unable to. So I'm going to make the podcast this morning. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, send this to people you know. I would greatly appreciate it, and let's get into the show. That was a complete beatdown on the Steelers. The Steelers got crushed. The Eagles put belt to ass. They stood on business. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they took what the media stirred up and they threw it right back in our face. They stood on business. The offense put the defense in tough positions early in the game with the fumble. Then with the Cooper DeJean fumble with the kick return. Put the defense in a tough spot. You know what the defense did? They fought through the adversity. They stood tall. They stood on business. And they did exactly what they had to do. It was locked down. And 27-13, the game wasn't even close. This game was nowhere near close. You could totally see the difference in the teams. The Eagles are up here, and Pittsburgh's down here. Without George Pickens, that team is nothing. The Eagles stood on business. All the news report, all the sports talk guys are saying, oh my God, Pittsburgh has a chance. And of course Pittsburgh has a chance. They're a good team. They're a good team. But the Eagles, the way they're playing right now, a 10-game win streak, are miles better than what Pittsburgh is. Miles better. Pittsburgh's offense revolves around one guy, George Pickens. And you saw exactly what it was like yesterday for that Pittsburgh team without George Pickens. They couldn't move the ball downfield. They couldn't pass. They couldn't find an open receiver. The run game was non existent for Pittsburgh. Come on. Come on. That was a complete win. The most complete win of the year. The defense was great. The offense, for once, was wonderful. The coaching didn't have any F-ups. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. 10-game win streak. Jalen Hurts played out of his mind. The defense played out of their mind. The passing attack was the best it's been all year. And the best part about all of this was the 10-minute drive to close out the game. The 10-minute drive that was in the fourth quarter and just totally iced out the game. Wow. So let's just talk about this here. Let's talk about a lot of this. The defense was put in a lot of tough positions early on in the game, with the fumble from the offensive side of the football, then the DeJean fumble. The defense stood tall. The defense played hard. They played physical. They put pressure on Russell Wilson, and they had a great game plan for the running attack with Najee Harris. They stopped him a lot of the time. The receivers had nowhere to go. They had a couple good catches, couple lucky catches, but the defense played outstanding. And you know what? And I'm not sure they're going to receive a lot of good credit, but they played out of their mind, as they always have been. Now, it would have been nice to see how they would have played against George Pickens, but it doesn't make a difference. They took the adversity early on in the game. They stood on business. They talked their shit, and they did what they had to do. Exactly what they had to do. It's what it is. I mean, there's so many wonderful things that you could talk about in this game. The Steelers had no plan of attack. No plan of attack. Come on now. Another thing that definitely needs to be discussed. If I had to give the MVP to somebody, it would be Jalen Hurts. That's what it is. If there was an MVP of this game, as much as it hurts me to say it, as much as I don't want to say it, it's Jalen Hurts. The guy played out of his mind. And I'm not the biggest fan of Jalen Hurts. And I've always said he had to pass the ball better. He needed to pass. He took whatever I said and the media said about him, and he played out of his mind. 25 for 32 passing, 290 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Wow. Now, did I think he had it in him? Yeah. But I didn't think he was going to come out and do it. And he sprinkled the ball around. It was great. Jalen Hurts deserves the MVP of that game. He took the drama, he took the anger, and he laid it out on the field. And he played great. Now, there was some mishaps when he was trying to scramble. He didn't always make the best decision when he was trying to scramble. But just primarily passing the ball, he was great. Outstanding. He was the MVP of the game. He was a difference maker finally. A true, utter difference maker. A difference maker. And you know what? It also talks about Kellen Moore. Because Kellen Moore, I've always said, you know what? The Eagles don't pass the ball because Kellen Moore realizes and knows that the Eagles cannot pass with Jalen Hurts. So I guess Kellen Moore finally said, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to do it. If it doesn't work, it is what it is. But we are so lucky that the pass game worked due to the fact of how hard it was to run the ball. It's insane. It was so difficult to run the ball. I mean, it was insane. Insane. Come on. I saw Saquon Barkley. I was at the game, and Saquon Barkley didn't play a crap ton. He played, of course, but he wasn't always constantly out on the field like you usually would see him out there. Now, he still had 19 carries, but he wasn't the difference maker that he always is. He did help ice out the game late in the game. But, I mean, so I'm not angry at him. I'm not angry at anything that he's did. He deserves an off night. Everybody has a day that they're bad. And he wasn't bad. It was just the Steelers' defensive front was great. And they're a good defensive front. Another thing that needs to be touched on is the passing attack. This was the best the passing attack has been all year. Of course, Jalen Hurts is really, really good, but we also have to give credit to Kellen Moore because Kellen Moore had a great passing attack planned out. The routes were not little league routes; they were actually well thought out routes, go routes, fade routes, quick slants, curls. It was good to see the passing attack actually work. And we're lucky that it worked because Saquon Barkley wasn't the biggest of difference makers as he has been. But all that aside, Kellen Moore had a great game plan, and A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Alcantara, if you even want to throw Kenny Gainwell in the mix, because Kenny Gainwell had a couple good run after catches there. That was the best it's been all year. And if you can build off of that, this team is really, really complete. And we saw, and it wasn't like so far of a stretch that this team could not pass. It was just, when will we see this team be able to pass the ball really, really well and effectively? And they did it tonight. They did it. And I am very proud. Very proud. That's what it is. I'm proud. I'm a proud Eagles fan. The last thing that I want to touch on is this. The Eagles had a bunch of great drives during the game, but the best one was the end of the game, the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, the Eagles had a 10-minute closeout drive. Bunch of good runs, bunch of good passes, and it was quite ridiculous because we would never see the Eagles go on a 10-minute closeout game. And it was also ridiculous because of the fact that Mike Tomlin elected to punt the ball on 4th and 7 when the Eagles were up by 14 points. And the main reason that he did that was because I don't think he had any faith in his offense. Tomlin stared down on DeGene, on Jalen Carter, on Zach Bourne, on Quinyon Mitchell, on all of these guys, and said, yeah, I have no faith in Russell Wilson and my offense to get a first down on 4th and 7. We might as well punt. My best chance at winning this game is to punt and hope my defense can come up with a stop. And that is his best chance. But it didn't work out. The Eagles had a 10-minute closeout drive in the fourth quarter, and it was insane to think about. 10 minutes of just running the ball, passing the ball, doing whatever you want to do, and just throwing it down their throat. Wow. Again. Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm saying this again because, I mean, it's the truth. This was the most complete Eagles win of the year. The passing attack was great. The coaching was great. The defense was great. Everybody was great. Eagles did what they had to do. They took care of business. But yes, I'm happy. I'm a proud man. I'm a proud Eagles fan tonight, boys. But thank you all for tuning in to the podcast. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Send this to people you know. But thank you all. Have a good one.